My name is Andy, and I'm gay. I'm 40 years old, and that's still hard to say. Internalized shame robs us of our spirit, denies us of our inherent freedom, holding us back. Whether it's familial shame, internalized homophobia, or fear of oppression or physical harm, it's long overdue that we seek to erase the hate, heal the shame, and claim what is ours. Our joy, our presence of being without fear. If Lex would come up and share your story. Lex is a spoken word artist activist in town and keeps me going, so thank you.
Is it okay if I do this piece? I'm gonna do a poem because I speak better through poetry sometimes than I do through my own words. In paragraph form. Grammar is not my thing. Sorry. Maybe I should take a class. Okay, good. The one thing that I did want to say, actually coming off of what Charlie had to say, I want to recognize you for the guiding light that you are in this community to youth. But what I did want to say is that a lot of times we're taught as queer youth and even as people who don't identify with LGBT, we're taught that we're not special. But in particular, for those of us who identify as LGBT, we're taught that we could be special in spite of our identities. And I'm here to tell you that you're special because of your identity. You bring something to the table. And I'm so grateful. From the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful. Because you let a kid like me walk around genderless with a mohawk and tattoos, and I'm doing okay. You know what I mean? So I myself am a survivor. The hate crime was attacked in San Francisco in 2008, and I'm gonna share a poem that I wish I had heard when I woke up in the hospital. It's called When You're Ready. And I'm very loud. I apologize ahead of time. When I was just a pebble, I'd watch stones stand solid as rocks against the boulders of fear. Move mountains with carefully pressed lapels. The straightened ties would dangle from straight necks, and shine shoes would press into the floor, rise off the ground and press down again. And right then, I knew that it was possible to fly. See, the responsibility of the misunderstood can be underestimated the way we're educated to believe the proverbs of our childhood. Those that are with us are against us. So we wage war in the middle of our binaries, but contrary to our national investments in normality, there's only us. The authentically misshapen misfits whose bodies refuse to conform, whose minds are already wandering because the beaten path is across our backs. And perhaps that's the real threat of change. That we may not understand the elasticity of evolution. We may have no say in just how far this goes, have no say in just how much the next generation can do or be or say. And I know that there's 13.7 billion years between the Big Bang and myself, but I've witnessed creations as pebbles become stones under the pressure of a system that prefers gravity over destiny. And they use our stories like fuel, but under the pressure, the coal that they've turned us into becomes the diamond and the rough, and the more cuts that a stone gets, the brighter it shines. See, the swollen belly of a pregnant moment in time creates the maternity of love, who's never known an ugly child. So if only to her, this is a beautiful face. And if evolution ever becomes as reckless as consistency, then I suspect that mothers would stop telling their babies that they're perfect just the way they are. They say God never makes the same thing twice, and then they hold the youngest to the oldest and speculate about what went wrong. Well, I can tell you, that baby had the audacity to believe from birth that limits were only a myth, that perfection was an expectation gained only by the tenacity to live. In authenticity, the unprecedented was expected because it had never been done like this. That's what our hearts told us. So how silly of us to believe that from birth we could be anything we believed we could be. And for those that cracked under the pressure, I don't hold that against you, because chances are no one ever told you that the world changed the day you were born. There were mothers and fathers going about their business, grocery lists being satisfied, debts being settled, quarrels being resolved, children committing playfulness across an ordinary day like any other that had come before, and then you arrived. See, everything that had been done regularly, even just a moment before you appeared, is now obsolete. The earth itself could not maintain its regularity under the gravitational pull of your destiny, because nothing like you has ever been created. The very definitions of possibility have to be recreated, and all you ever needed was for someone to turn and look you straight in the eye and tell you that the world had been waiting, that evolution had stopped creating until they received news from heaven that everything was gonna be done different because we had arrived. And you don't have to know who you are. You can question 1,000,000 times a day whether or not you're living the life that you're supposed to. You can question the mirror, beg to change your reflection, exasperation, confusion. You can beg to loosen your skin that you might crawl out again and begin again anew somewhere other than you. You can cut at your flesh and tear at your spirit. You can enslave your uniqueness and capture your essence. And when you're ready, when your aching muscles are exhausted, when your tears are bitter and dry against your cheeks, when your body is done fighting and your spirit is aching to be loved and you simply can't hold it in any longer, I'll be the rock. For those that have never seen what they could be, never heard their name said gently, for those that have never heard a voice like theirs or feet that leave tracks they may want to follow, I'll be the rock. Because what I needed was someone to stop me from rolling downhill, keep me from skipping across the river that gladly would have rubbed me smooth if I hadn't spent so much of my time fighting the current. So for the weary bodies, for the unconformed and undefined, the dividing line between our authenticity and normality, for every little girl awake in the middle of the night praying for God to have mercy at puberty, for every little boy standing in mommy's mirror with decorated faces and oversized heels, for every bleeding wrist and bruised face, for myself at 13 who never saw a me, let this be your answered prayer. For every gender bender warrior, for every midnight dreamer, I'll be there when you're ready. When the fight becomes too much, I'll be the sturdy shoulder for a weary warrior. I'll be the hands that hold you when you're tired, the voice that speaks in your silence, the footprints so you know where to step. I'll be the hands that straighten your tie, and the strength to move mountains when your feet press into the floor, rise off the ground and press down again. And when you're ready, I'll show you that it's possible to fly.